Everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I figured I'd bring you guys out to the property. I know in a couple videos I've mentioned that I'm preparing for a house build, and today I staked out my driveway and I had to do like a little drawing and get some measurements, and then I'll do a more official drawing to submit to the county to get a driveway permit so I can put my driveway in. And then I can apply for an address for the driveway once the first permit is pulled. So that's where I'm at right now. I just staked it out, just got some measurements, and figured I'd kind of ramble and talk to you guys a little bit about what I plan on doing with this property. And some of the, I want to say, upsets that I'm running into. I would really like to have a post frame shell built here, 1,500 square foot, 32 by 48 or 30 by 50. And I got a floor plan that works. I plan on doing the interior myself. I plan on doing the radiant heat myself. I plan on having my own contractor pour the concrete. And I met with one company, me and my dad, because he's building on the other side of those trees over there. And they quoted me for a 1,500 square foot Barndominium shell. And it was a 2,000 square foot garage as well. So total 3,500 square foot building. And they quoted me $250,000 to $290,000 to have two shells built. 1,500 square foot's the house. They showed me and my dad a quote on another house that they're doing for a customer. It was 2,048 total square feet, and they showed us a number of $67,000. And then with mine, it's a total of like 3,500 square feet, fully enclosed shell. So I was figuring it'd be about the 120 to maybe 130 number. Well, they sent me the quote, and it was $240 to $290,000 to give me two shells that I'm going to have to then finish myself on the inside. I've already been quoted for a 1,200 square foot stick-built house, $300,000 turnkey. There's no way a shell that's not completed should cost me $250,000. So, and maybe that's the going rate for barndominiums. I know they're a luxury, or they're a hot topic right now. They're not really luxury, but they're a hot topic. And they're getting popular. I've already got a manufactured home that I like, and it's $190,000 turnkey, all the site work, well and septic, everything I need to live in it without lifting a single finger. So what I'm trying to do is get into my house. I was hoping to save money by going a barndominium shell and paying, let's just say it's the 1,500 square foot house, paying, 50, 60 grand for the shell, and then putting another 100 into it. So I'm into it for 160. I'm really trying to stay under 200,000, and that doesn't seem to be what the company I met with wants to do with me. So I don't think they really wanted my business. I don't know why, but I don't think they wanted to come this far up into Michigan, even though their website says that they service all of Michigan. So I'm in contact with Morton Buildings now, and really haven't talked about anything. It's just, thank you for contacting Morton email, and I'm waiting for a representative to contact me, because I really would like an honest opinion on what a Barndo shell is going to cost me. I already have an idea of what concrete and radiant floor heating is going to cost me. I'm not going to fully install the radiant floor heat right away. I'm going to put the pipe in the concrete and just have it ready for when I am ready for radiant heat, or to install the rest of the boiler system and stuff like that. I just want it there because once the concrete goes down, you can't do it later. So, yeah, that's what I'm running into. It's either I go manufacturer or I go barn door shell, and I was really hoping to do a barn door shell to save money and get into this house for under $200 and have a better return on my money than what a manufactured home is going to give me. So, with that being said, guys, I'll walk you around the property and we can take a look at what I got going on and things like that. I own the property outright. I don't owe anything on it. It's 2 acres. My dad and I, we bought this 5-acre parcel together, and that tree line there was already here, so it was already kind of split into 2 acres, even though the 2 acres, that tree line's not even. It doesn't run down the property line like it should. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. But we split 2 acres, and we were going to split it 50-50, but with that tree line being there, I didn't want to take it down. So there's no point in having the land on the other side of that tree line that I can't use, or it doesn't make sense to use for me unless that tree line comes down. The only other way I would have done that is if I would have known somebody that could come take those down for free and they can keep all the wood. But I don't know anybody like that. I don't have connections like that. So here's my property line. So you can see the stake up there. It's got an orange flag on it. I don't think you guys can see it, but it's right there. That's the survey marker for my property line. And then I'm going to stand in line with this right here. So right there is the other one. And you can see how much property. I'm going to walk in a straight line, and you'll see that my trees curve. So you can already see, I mean, there's already a 10-foot gap here, and it gets wider. So I'm losing this much already. And then, and the reason why we split it like this is because my township and my county requires a minimum 2 acres for a split. So, and you know, we're getting wider. And I'm still walking in a straight line in line with my property line. Alright, so here's the gap we went through. So, right there's the property line. I mean, just look how much I lose. I mean, I really wish, you know, I would, right here, back, all these would come down. And I could do it. I don't want to do it. But if somebody wanted to come in here and do it for me and not hold me liable if they got hurt, and they could take all the wood they want, and not charge me anything, or not charge me a whole lot of money, I mean, I would, in a heartbeat, let them do it. They could take as much down as they want. If they want to go all the way to the road, they can go all the way to the road. And then me and my dad will end up planting new trees right on the property line. So I don't know anybody like that. So yeah, that's where we're at. So what I'm running into is, one, we're fighting with the power company. Consumers Energy sucks. The project coordinator came out here right away when my dad first applied, and we kind of talked to him, and I don't know, I kind of felt like he was clueless on his job and what we were talking about, and stuff like that, which kind of reflected later on in the process. They are running power to my dad's property. This neighbor over here said no to us on consumers extending their right-of-way to continue power across the front of his property, even though power is already there. And they weren't even going to drop a pole on his property. They were just going to drop a pole. I'll flip it here. I can't explain it. So that's my neighbor. That orange flag is the property stake. That's the survey marker. And they were literally going to drop a pole right there. So all those dead trees would have been removed by the power company. And all they would have did was strung a line from his pole, which is like literally right there. And it wouldn't have affected him at all. There's no trees that would have came down on his side. There's nothing that would have affected him in any way. And then we were going to bury power all the way through here, through that gap. And then there was a temp post, another like 300 feet or 200 feet through that gap from my dad's house that he was building back there. Which that is expensive to do. And that was going to be the easiest option. Come to find out, the project coordinator told my dad that guy said that my dad was an asshole to him. And all my dad did was what consumers asked him to do, which consumers, instead of sending their team out here to talk to people, are asking the homeowners to go knock on doors and try to explain what consumers is going to do without consumers telling us what they're going to do. So we have no clue what consumers is going to do, but yet they want us to go knock on doors and get people warmed up to the idea that they're going to be coming in here and asking for a right-of-way request without giving any explanation to us to give to the potential people. So that's the first issue. And the project coordinator told my dad that guy said no because my dad was an asshole. And all my dad did was he went and knocked on the door, and the guy asked him to get on his little side-by-side thing, and they drove up and down the road, and the guy was pointing out all the power lines, and he's an ex-power line guy, he's an ex-lineman, and my dad learned his entire life story. And apparently that's the reason why he said no, was because my dad was an asshole. And my dad was trying to explain to him, that's the easiest option. Even the guy even said that that's the easiest option, was to continue power from his power line and drop a pole on the corner of my property, and we'd be done. This is 9 months ago. And like a couple months ago, that's when they told my dad that guy said he was an asshole. So, which my dad feels that the project coordinator was the one that was an asshole to him, because he's an ex-lineman trying to talk to a project coordinator who seemed clueless. So this is my dad's property. He's got 3 acres. I have 2. He just came out here and mowed. But he was going to drop a temp pole right back here, right there. And we were going to run from that pole all the way over here. So once he said no, we had to change the plan. And now they're dropping a pole on that corner of the property. They're running it from across the road. And they have to get right-of-way requests from the landowners, which there's a farmer that we talked to, and there's a house that my dad just talked to over there. There's an old man that lives on the other side of these trees that my dad talked to because they asked him to, even though the power line doesn't affect him. They still want a right-of-way request from a property that doesn't get affected. And the guy was like, no, why would I do that? So So this is where consumers kind of gets frustrating for us. The original plan, and the project coordinator is aware that I own that property. My dad owns this. They're two separate properties. And they were going to drop power there. And my dad was like, well, my kid needs power. He's going to need it. And why don't you just run power from this pole to his property where he's going to want it? And so they were like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And come to find out, they're like, well, that's going to be $5,300 for us to run power from that corner to his property. And my dad was like, what? And then he called me and he goes, hey, they want $5,300 because they want to bury the cable underneath the ground so they don't have to disturb any of these trees. And they want us to pay them $5,300. And I was like, is that the only option? And he's like, well, that's what he said. And so I was like, okay, let's wait on that a minute. And he's like, well, because my dad's a truck driver. He's like, well, I won't be back for another week and then we can talk about it. And I was like, okay. And so long story short, I did some research and found out that it's free to get power to my property. Consumers shouldn't be charging us to get power to my property. And the reason why they're trying to charge us $5,300 is because they're treating it as a custom order, I guess. Their job is to get power to the property, which on that corner, which over there, they got power to the property. It's not there yet. We're still waiting on that. They haven't even started the process. It's 9 months in. You can see my dad's tent pole over there now. He just moved it. It was up here per them wanting to run power up here. So this is the confusing part. We had it back there because the original plan was to run it underground to that pole back there. Then they told us to move it up here because their idea was to run power underground from that pole up there to here to service a house that they thought was going here, which my house is over there. And then they're like, well, you said you're going to put your house over here. And my dad's like, no, my house is going back there in that corner. And so what they did was they did their job by getting power. I know I'm repeating myself, but their job is to get power to the property, which is them dropping a pole right there on that corner. Job done. And they were treating running power to my property as a special request by the landowner and was charging us for the cable and installing it as in a house was going here. Power to your property is free. Anything from that pole to your house is on the homeowner. Well, they didn't tell my dad that. The engineer came in and showed up to talk to my dad to kind of get him a better idea of the layout because he's going to be the one drawing up the plans. And basically told my dad, if you pay us the $5,300 right now, we'll get this done. It'll be done real quick. We'll jump right on it. And my dad told me that, and I was like, that does not seem right. That seems shady. Basically, it was like an incentive for them to get on it even faster. Just pay us now. Well, my research found out that power to my property is free. So once they drop a pole right here on that corner, I'm going to apply for power to my property. And what that's going to do is it's going to force them to now extend power from that pole across the front of this property to a pole on my property for free. It's not going to be any expense to my dad, and it's not going to be any expense to me. The only expense I will have on my property is wherever my house is going to go, I have to pay for the cable from the pole or the transformer to my house. So saved me a bunch of money because me and my dad were going to split that cost to get power to my house. And it's just consumers trying to pull a fast one on us, because if I would have found that out after we paid, we would have been playing hell trying to get that money back from consumers. And the thing that doesn't sit right with me is, why wouldn't you tell that to us? Why would you be like, hey, just pay us $5,300 and we'll get it done? Why wouldn't you just say, hey, we'll just drop power here. This should have been done by the project coordinator. We'll just get power to you because you're the one that requested it. We won't worry about your son until your son is ready for it. And that should have been the conversation. Not, yeah, we can get your son power on his property, but you're going to have to pay us $5,300 to do that, when there's a free option. So all my dad has to pay for now is for power from there to his tent pole. And so they told my dad that's going to be $5,300 if you go underground. So another $5,300. And it's just, I think they just want $5,300 for whatever reason. So then my dad asked, well, what if we just go overhead to that tent pole? And we'll go underground from the tent pole, or wherever that pole ends up being, because there will be a permanent pole right there with a transformer, I think. But they're going to go overhead to that pole, and then they're going to go underground from that pole to his house. So, and that's like $300 versus $5,300. So I don't know what Consumers is doing. They're trying to pull a fast one on us, and 9 months in, they still haven't asked for right-of-ways from anybody. I don't know. 9 months, Consumers. We're ready to build. My dad was ready to build. I'm not ready to build. I'm still trying to get numbers on what I want to do. But my dad is ready to move forward, and he has been for 6 months. And Consumers hasn't even set a team out here to mark out where the poles are going. And that should have been staked out already. Even the guy on the phone that my dad ended up talking to, which I think is the project coordinator and engineer's boss, said that should have been staked out right after the initial request. And apparently they have their own team to go talk to these people for right-of-ways. But they asked my dad to go do it without giving my dad any information. And they still haven't asked anybody for right-of-ways. They're like, oh, we mailed that out. We mailed like a packet out so these guys can read it, and they can look over it and they can sign it and send it back. Well, they emailed my dad the packet. Nowhere in it does it explain what's going on. They just want a signature and be done with it. But those never got mailed out. The guy on the phone with my dad just like 2 days ago said that never got mailed out, that he can't see it in the system that it ever got mailed out, and doesn't think it ever got mailed out. So, yeah. And then he told my dad that they have a team that'll go talk to these people. So why is Consumers having us do that? And I have no idea. So we're frustrated right now. We're just trying to move forward with this, and we can't. So those are some of the struggles. I can't pay $250,000 for a house without it being finished. For the right house, I'd pay $250,000 for it. Turnkey. I can get into a manufactured for $190,000, turnkey, finished, everything. We can't even get power to the property because Consumers 9 months still hasn't moved forward with anything. Yeah, and we moved the tent pole like 4 times. And yeah. So there you guys can see like the high spot, and then this is kind of like a valley, and then it goes up where my truck's at. So any dirt that gets pushed from up here will get dragged back, and we'll kind of fill this in. I'm actually on a hill. You can see it kind of slopes down, and everything runs to where that kind of wet area is on my property. And that's a good 10 feet. There's a big ditch back there. That's a good 10 feet right there above my neighbor's property. My neighbor's property goes down quite a ways. So, I mean, you can see kind of the drop there. And this is not wet. This is all sand. Yeah, I literally dug down with their backhoe. I punched 3 holes to see what was buried, because we were told this was an old landfill. The guy that owned it had a bunch of junk and just buried it, apparently. And I punched like 3 holes, all 5 foot deep, and it was all sand. It was like literally 2 or 3 inches of topsoil. So, not really worried about that. I would just like to move forward with consumers and potentially find a barndominium that I could have put up for not a whole lot of money. So, another thing I need to do is I want to clean this ditch out along this road. And then all these trees I want gone. This tree I want gone. That post and that post is my driveway. That's 20 foot. I have it 15 foot off the property line. Minimum I got to be 10 foot off the property line. But I want that to come down, that tree. I want the entire road cleared up. So that's going to be a project in and of itself. So that'll be another video, I guess, if you guys even watched the video or this video. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So that's some of the hardships that we're facing right now. We're just trying to get power. I'm trying to find something that I can build and put on this and be done with it. I'm just ready to be done with it. I haven't even started and I'm already ready to be done with it. So yeah, so that's the video. I'm going to end it. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And any recommendations and things like that. So, see ya.